My next two guests are legends of television. One started out as just a good old boy who never meant any harm. The other was the last son of Krypton and Earth's greatest hero. You know him as Jonathan and Clark Kent from Smallville. Get on your feet for Tom Lawrence and John Schneider! He felt the energy. He felt the energy of the crowd, I'm sure.
Yeah, I did. I still do. Hi, everybody. This is my favorite part of the show because everyone's got their cameras up. In about 10 minutes, your arms get tired and they all go down. Nobody ever films the entire thing.
Real quick.
No one has any idea how any of these end.
Real quick, can we make some noise for Tom's cowboy hat here?
I only brought it for him. All the way from California. Yep.
Welcome, gentlemen. Smallville celebrates its 23rd anniversary since the pilot episode aired. What does it mean to you that you're still getting this type of response?
I like that you're not off book. I'm glad that you're not even off book with the question.
No. We got.
What is it?
I got a stack of questions we got to get through yet.
Okay. All right. It's great.
What he said. No, but seriously, like this response, 23 years ago, you guys started this film, TV series. Did you ever think like it would have this lasting impression and have this devoted fan base?
Absolutely. Why would we have done it if we didn't?
Well, I bring it up because.
I mean, really?
John,
I hope nobody's talking about this show when it's not on the air anymore.
To be fair, John,
I never
didn't do it.
Picture of you and I by the fence. I love that picture.
Well, the story goes that, John, you almost didn't do it. You actually turned down the initial audition, right?
3 times.
Wow.
3 times.
Really?
He didn't know this?
I only turned it down once. Michael turned down his once.
Really?
Yeah. 3 times. What's going on? I never heard the story.
I heard you were in it, and I said, nah, there's no way. I don't know that kid. No, you whippersnapper. No, I was a big fan of the television show. You know, when I was a kid, it was it's Superman. And I thought that the movies were okay. And I thought they were a little campy, and I thought the last thing the world needs is to have somebody really screw up the Superman legend. But then, I read it. And when I read the pilot script of Smallville, I thought this is, immediately I knew that Miles and Al knew exactly what they were doing and that they were trying to, more than pay tribute, trying to revitalize and retell a part of the Superman legacy, the story that no one had ever heard before. And at that point, it was like, okay, whatever, now I want this, I really want this. So I scolded them when I got there, like a good parent would. And then I met this guy. And I was shocked he's so big. Because I'm 6'2", I think I might have been 6'3" back then. You do get a little shorter. But when I saw him, I thought, oh, this is great. You got nothing.
He looks like someday he could be Superman.
He does. Well, and what was really strange, if you go back and look at pictures of us together, and then look at a picture of me from the earlier days of Dukes of Hazzard, we look very similar. So the fact that we played father and son, I think, worked really, really well. But I didn't see that at the time.
We also agree that it worked really, really well, right, guys?
Best son on television.
I also think one of the reasons why I think some of you guys are even here and why the show worked is, it's something that you and Annette brought to it, is the multi-generational element of the show. The parents were a big deal on Smallville. They're a big deal for Clark's development. And as fans, you know, a lot of you were, you know, younger when you watched the show. Maybe you watched it with your parents, and now you have kids. And so it's like the waterfall effect, which is, I think, why, going back to your question, maybe why it's still happening. Why we still get to, meet all you fun people. So
Yeah.
I completely agree. We have a ton of fan questions, so I'm going to ask a few right now. The question is for either one of you. They didn't kind of specify. Toughest father figure? Mr. Kent or Uncle Jesse?
Well, Jonathan Kent was largely based on John Schneider's relationship with Denver Pyle. Denver Pyle played my Uncle Jesse, and I still miss him to this day. I think the single most important relationship I had outside of my family, I was only 18 when I started Dukes of Hazzard, and if it weren't for Denver Pyle, I think Hollywood would have eaten me up, and it would have been a blast.
Way too much fun.
Way too much fun. Way too much fun. So I think that only because Uncle Jesse was first, I would say Uncle Jesse, but Jonathan Kent, other than that, I think Jonathan Kent is the best father on television. Sorry, Michael, Landon, sorry, buddy. But yeah, I think so.
Did you have somebody that kind of was either helped you get into the business, or like you kind of looked up to when you first started acting?
I think John, especially on Smallville, for sure. I did a small role in a show called Judging Amy Brenneman, and I didn't know it at the time, but
that's what it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I'm sorry.
We're learning a lot of things for the first time here today.
Big fan of Judging Amy. That's the name of the show.
Don't judge. Yes.
But that was sort of my first job where I had anything to say or be in a relationship with another character. And I realized years later how much she took me under her wing and really just made me feel comfortable and just made it about talking to each other. Because I really didn't, all I knew was what my lines were, but I didn't really have any craft at all. And then when I got to Smallville, I realized, I used to think Michael Rosenbaum was a really good actor. You know, because I didn't know better at the time.
But you figured it out.
But then I figured it out, and he's actually amazing. I'm just joking. But I literally, this relationship was great with our characters because Clark was listening to his father and trying to understand him, and his father was trying to understand what Clark was going through and gave him room to grow and mature. But I really was just trying to steal from everybody I could, especially in the first couple years of Smallville, for sure.
John, when you first started filming the first season, name a time or name something that really surprised you about Tom.
Surprised me about Tom?
Yeah.
His
or impressed you.
Well, it's the same thing. His curiosity, he just explained it, but from my perspective, it was watching someone who was so eager to learn, so eager to try to figure out how to navigate. It's fun. I mean, doing a television show is fun, but you do work 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, 10 months a year on a show like Smallville. So at some point, it becomes a job, but he wanted to figure out how to be able to survive that, how to navigate that. So the thing that surprised me most about him, because I was somebody who came in young on a television show, and I thought I knew a whole lot. And Denver Pyle was the one that told me I didn't. And if I paid attention, then I could learn. And he paid such great attention, and by the time I came back in season 10, he was pretty much the horse. He was running the show, and it was great. I was very, very proud, and still am, of who you became then and who you became now. Yes,
Nobody clap for that. I love this. Tom, this question for you. Did you ever wish they would have gone away from the comics and just let you end up with Lana? I did.
I mean, I thought they did a good job the way that her character exited the show. It was like, she had the kryptonite skin suit or something, and like she was like, we just can never be together, so I'm gonna go. I kind of in my mind made up the idea that she went and became her own superhero in another place. That was sort of something I created in my own mind. And I remember bringing it up to Kristen one time, like, do you ever think about what happened to Lana after she left Smallville? And she goes, nope. And I go,
he's on Reacher now.
yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I always thought that she just became a superhero. She goes, really? Okay. Kristen's great like that. She's just like, okay.
Very deep.
Yeah.
This question is for John. How is it you are still so handsome? There's no name. You should have put your name. I would have totally called you out.
What is your secret? I love it when like people on the Instagram or those TikTok things you kids do. It's like, everyone always asks me what I do for my skincare. It's like, nobody's asking you. But now you're being asked. You're actually being asked. What is it that you do? What's your product routine?
Water. I try to sleep more and never lose, no matter what life throws at you, never lose your happy. And your happy is directly related to your curiosity about life. Ooh, what great thing is going to happen today? Because if you wake up in the morning and you think, what just terrible, oh, here's another, if you're Eeyore, if we make Eeyore look like an optimist, that's exactly what you're going to get.
Well, and it's your responsibility. Your happiness is your responsibility, nobody else's.
Yeah, life is not something that happens to you. Life is something that you have to grab a hold of and ride it out. But you have to wake up every morning, I think, expecting great things. And if you wake up every morning and expect great things, then you'll be looking for them. And people will look and they'll say, what the hell's the matter with you?
What are you looking for?
There's something wrong with you, or is there something really right with you? And I like to think there's something really right. But don't lose your happy. And of course, you know, I drink. I enjoy a really good scotch or a good bourbon. And I make moonshine, so there you go.
Is that for sale at the table?
Is that what?
For sale at the table?
It's not for sale at the table yet. We're working on Texas, but you know, it's a
federal issue.
I have no current federal issues, Tom.
We're past that.
And I'm hoping to get rid of the ones I had in November. Thank you. You heard what I didn't say. I'm trying not to say those things anymore.
Do either of you guys believe that the characters kind of influenced the both of you to growing up and having your own ranches? You have your own ranch. John, you got a studio in your ranch.
I do. I have a studio. Yes. I'm in a battle to keep it. I'm living an episode of Dukes of Hazzard and Smallville. I'm living a Western. I should be wearing a hat. I'm living a Western where I have people who feel they're entitled to something they didn't work for, and I'm having to fight for something I did work for. But damn it, I don't mind, because I work for it, and it's mine, and I'm going to keep it.
Amen. Do you think being on the show as Clark influenced you at all to kind of growing up now, or we're living on a ranch now?
I don't think so, and only because when we were filming Smallville, we would go out to the Kent farm. I just felt at home there anyway. And I didn't want to get there and be like, oh, I want to live like this. I just kind of felt good. And when we did when I went back for the episode of Crisis, it was really funny. I don't know if you know the story, but so I go out and do this one scene for this Crisis Infinite, whatever. And it's like a multiverse thing where this Lex Luther kid.
Oh, it's a multiverse.
Sure. And it's John Cryer, but not Michael Rosenbaum. And Clark has given up his powers to be close.
Did you say John Cryer?
He did, John Cryer.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I played Jim Cryer. Sometimes confuse that.
No.
Because I'm John.
Okay.
Cryer.
So anyway, we get there, and the crew is from a show called Batgirl that was filming, and they've never filmed in a Kent farm before. So I get out there, and they don't know where to put things. They don't, I can see they're confused, and I was like, well, you know, we used to film here, and we kind of did things over there, and
for 10 years.
And the director's like, what? And it was really kind of funny, because I didn't want to direct it, but at the same time I was like, yes, you did. You know, this is kind of down this way. It was really nice. And it was really funny, and then the other characters showed up, and they come to this portal, and they all just stand there, they're not moving. They do the rehearsal. You know, Smallville was so much about movement.
Absolutely.
Moving up and moving up. And these other people from the
forces
show,
the camera.
Yeah, they didn't move through the whole rehearsal. And the director's like, okay, so, and I'm like, I kind of move forward, I turn around, I come back, and all four of them or five of them weren't moving. And the director's like, okay, cut, and I go, well, can I just maybe they just step forward a little bit? And she was thinking like camera movement, I'm like, I'm thinking this is a big deal for them, that they just went through a portal to a multiverse to meet Clark Kent. Don't you think that maybe come forward? And then one of them was like, yeah, I could step forward a little bit. And I'll step forward. It was like one step. But it was something, you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
It was like, come on, guys. I'm not just standing around talking here.
There's a tendency because television shows have to be. Is that rain? Holy mackerel! I love it. There's a tendency on television shows. I did a show called Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, and it was great. But with horses and all this stuff that you have to do, there's a tendency for people to just walk in and stand on a mark, stand in one place, and not move because it's easier to do. It's easier to shoot, and you can shoot it quicker. But it's when you watch it on television, it's like watching grass grow, which it's going to grow really great now, or watching paint dry. So on Smallville, we would move around, and he figured out. How many episodes did you direct?
I think 7.
He directed
but
7.
A lot of the movement in scenes I learned from you. Like there's like scenes where like going to the timing it out. We have a lot of good walking talks when we're moving around in the kitchen and going to the refrigerator and opening up and timing it so it closes. Like I learned that all from you. It was like a ballet, like a dance. I think.
Hey. So there's a lot more to it than you think. A great way to watch television if you're interested in the process of any of what we're talking about. Turn the sound down and just watch the pictures and see how they cut from what. It's kind of like looking through a photo album. Here's a picture of you. Here's a picture of me. Here's a picture of the dog. And when you turn the sound off, you actually get to see. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's two people in that shot and only one person in this shot. So if you're interested in the craft of cinema at all, then take your favorite movie, turn the sound down, and enjoy it. Okay, it's pretty cool.
We have to find a way to get the scene of you on Crisis to let John see just so he can be familiar with it. But you got a chance to punch John Cryer as Lex Luther, something I didn't have on my bingo card, but it had to have meant something to come back after all this time and just put maybe not a conclusion on Clark, but just to kind of revisit him for a tad bit. What did it mean to you?
Well, what I did is I kind of stole a couple of things from John. I kind of, in that, you might say...
Thank you. Truly, no, thank you.
There's a lot of people stealing
Well,
things from
because
John.
he doesn't have his powers. He's chopping wood, but he's wearing gloves. And the way he moves and stuff, I kind of try to move a little like you with the gloves. It's kind of thinking what you would have done. And I kind of did that a little bit. So it's one scene, but it was easy because John Cryer was like, I'm Lex Luther. And I'm like, you're not Lex. That was the easiest thing to say in the world.
So amazing.
Because he's not, But it's fun. It wasn't the Clark that I played because it's a multiverse, blah, blah, blah. But I thought it was a good thing how they did it. I don't know how he lost his powers. I didn't ask. They didn't tell me. Or how he got away with them. I don't know.
Are those the pictures I see with you in the red plaid shirt?
Yeah.
With the gloves on.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I wondered what that was. Great.
They didn't.
Why is he wearing gloves?
They
Well,
didn't
I was dead, so I wasn't there.
You're in my heart.
And I see that, and I thank you.
You guys
This is
know
real.
right here?
This is real.
Yeah.
You can see that this is real, right?
You guys are still father and son after all these years.
Those were Jonathan's gloves.
And you had my watch on. You remember that was that one day we were. There was a scene where I'm out on the tractor with a little Clark, that they played on tape after Jonathan passed away. And we were there for 10 years, and for some reason this day it snowed and it was so beautiful. So I was taking him out, this little fella, and it was the little guy who played Clark, I think, in the pilot. But it was beautiful. It was like a Currier and Ives painting, and I was saying, there's my little man of steel. And then I'm going to tear up now, because when they showed that video, you were watching it, or Martha was watching it, but it was one of those things where I think Smallville was also, not only was it well written and well thought out and beautifully shot, but I do think that occasionally God said, here, take this. This is going to mean so much to so many people. Like Abraham. There's a gentleman in here named Abraham from Mexico. who was just teared up. He couldn't say. He came up and he looked at me and he started to cry. And I said, don't worry, you know, I'm not a John crier, but I'm a crier. And I'm not Lex Luther either. But I'm a crier too. I said, I think it's a sign of great strength. So I took him over and we did a little group hug. And it's important. It's important. If you see someone that has some sort of a need, you just all of a sudden think, you know, I need to spend a little extra time with this person. Do it. That too will keep you young. That will keep you young. There. So I think, yeah.
You guys had no idea you were going to be in the Church of John Schneider today.
No.
I love it.
Thank you. Humanity, man. It's humanity. And that's what Miles and Al, God bless Miles Millar and Al Goff, because they wrote such beautiful humanity into the beginnings of Smallville, when it was just a dream for them. You know, once a show gets going, you kind of have to write and act and light to a schedule.
Sure.
You know, you stop shooting an idea and you start shooting a schedule. They were terrific. I mean, we've had our differences, but if it weren't for them, I don't think any of this, the DC or I don't think any of this universe would exist, because nobody would have bothered to find out what is the humanity of Spider-Man. Nobody cared.
Yeah, they cracked the code.
Yeah, they did.
The code. Yeah.
They did. So anyway, Miles and Al.
You're here.
Yep.
Speaking of the beginning, what do either of you recall about your first time meeting each other?
I think nothing.
I was like, that's Bo Duke. I did. I think it took a year or two for you to mention that you used to be on a TV show. And I was like, oh yeah, I know. And you were like, why didn't you say anything? And I was like, I was nervous. And you kind of like punched me in the shoulder. You were like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
I think we did a table read there in Kingsway. Is that what it's called? Where the studios were? Mm-hmm. Did a table read, and I thought it was great. Like I said, I was shocked that he was so big, because a lot of times actors are not. They just think they are. But this guy, it was kind of like, this is a big guy that doesn't really know it, you know, which is endearing. It's wonderful. So I remember doing that little table read, and they have a tendency in the beginnings of the show to, because they're not actors and they don't know that acting is not just memorizing lines and speaking them. You know, acting is listening and responding. So I think if we didn't immediately hit it off, they would have rehearsed this relationship right out of us, and it would have been awful.
We did one of my favorite memories was we did a first cast photo shoot in California, and you drove some silver off-road Corvette to the photo shoot. And you're like, you want to go for a ride? I was like, yeah. And he drove like a maniac.
Oh, man.
Doing like circles and donuts, and I was like, this is amazing. I said, like, yeah, like this is gonna be great. Yeah. That was cool.
I forgot about that. That was a lot of fun. Want to go for a ride? Okay.
Yeah.
Producers are going, oh my God, what have we done? What have we done?
It's a good bonding moment.
It was. Yeah, fearing for your life always makes, you know, people closer.
John, Kim wants to know, what was it like filming Dukes of Hazzard?
It was wonderful filming the Dukes of Hazzard, and that was all on film. Smallville is one of the shows that transitioned from film to digital. But Dukes of Hazzard was all single camera film. A lot of television shows that used multiple cameras. I did a show called The Haves and Have-Nots. Jim Cryer and Tyler Perry will use 6 cameras, 7 cameras, so you really only have to do it once. So it saves a bunch of time, but it's very expensive. And he's the smartest person I've ever seen with regard to figuring out how to shoot something on budget, but not really have to compromise the process. So when you do a Tyler Perry show, it's damn near real, because you do it one time and that's it, because there's cameras everywhere. But Dukes of Hazzard was so much fun. Again, 5 days a week, 12 hours a day, 10 months a year. But I was 18 years old, and if I wrecked a General Lee, they gave me another one. like, this doesn't suck. This is really kind of great. And I remember my per diem when I was auditioning. I think I got $25 a day.
Wow.
And I was auditioning for five and a half weeks. And what that did was, I knew it was a whole story about it. I knew I was going to get it. I was just like, okay, this is for me. But what it did is it paid off my Triumph TR6. I paid off my car note with my per diem.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can't do that anymore.
25 bucks a day. No, my God. No, you certainly can't.
I have a question here from Jackie and Ashley. Is that y'all up here? Oh, here? There you go. Let's see. Tom, this question is for you. What was the best day of your life and why? You're so cool, they say.
Thank you. I mean, it's 2 days. It's when both my sons were born. That's easy.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And the Corvette with John.
There you go.
Question for either one of you. What is the funniest memory you have from the set of Smallville?
I got one.
Go.
Please.
It was,
I know what it is.
so we did this thing where it was like this, they needed Lex Luther and they needed him on a green screen so that they could put in like this, like the world was ending behind him, like some later, like the world is ending, whatever. And Glenn Winter and I conspired to tell Michael he had to wear a one-piece green screen suit up to his neck, gloves and everything. Because, so he comes to set, and he's so worried about how his bulge looks. He's like, this looks all right, is this on camera? Like, it's a green suit, no one's ever gonna see it, it's fine. And just stand there and look off like the world is burning. You just launched nuclear weapons, the world is ending, and he's like this. And then, and that was the shot. And then Glenn goes, all right, now put your hands up like next to your face like this. Like this? Yeah. Now start shaking them a little bit. Don't worry, it's gonna look good in post. All right, now turn to the side and just move your shoulders. Mike's like, I'm trying to... And it took a couple minutes for Michael to realize we were fucking with him. And Glenn and I were dying. The whole crew was dying. It was like, that was pretty fun. The other fun one for me with Michael is he plays the president. Might have been the same episode. And he's got this speech, like a whole page. He gives a speech. And Michael comes up for the rehearsal, and there's a, a teleprompter. That's part of the joke. But what do you stand behind when you get a podium? Thank you.
Pulpit.
And he's standing up there, and they're like, all right, and action. So Michael goes up there, and he goes, and they're like, go ahead, Michael. He goes, I'm not gonna say all the words now. I'm just gonna stand here, right? That's not wasting the time. And we're like, yeah, sure. So we're like, okay, cool. So they light it. Action. Michael's like, no rehearsal. I'm like, okay, fine. I guess I was directing. And so Michael walks up, totally in character, gets behind the podium, and he goes, where are the teleprompters? And we're like, what? I'm the President of the United States, where are my teleprompters? We're like, what are you talking about? You don't know the words? He goes, why would I memorize the words? I'm the President of the United States, I'm the teleprompters. He goes, what kind of shit are you running here? And he's like yelling at us. And we're like, what? And God bless him. He goes, all right, give me 15 minutes. And he walks away, comes over 15 minutes later and nailed the whole speech. Like he did. So, but it was pretty funny.
He's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Tom and I were on the front porch early on, I think first season. I don't remember what we're talking about, but Tom, his back is against the house. And the house was two different colors. One part of it was green and part of it was yellow for some reason. I think they didn't think the show was going to last, so they only wanted to paint half the house. But, so I'm talking to him about something very, very serious, and I don't remember what it is. And he's looking at me, and he's like, doing that. And I said, look at me. Son, you look, because I had to think about if I was teaching Clark, if you can't look someone in the eye, then you're lying. So this will be great. You can use this later. So if you're trying to lie to me about football, then don't be able to look me in the eye, and I'll know right away. So we had a couple of things like that. But I'm Jonathan Kenning all up in his face, like, look. I said, look at me, son. Look at me. He's like, I said, what is the problem? And in Aldergrove there, right down the street, about a mile from the Kent farm, was a couple who got married as like Bo and Daisy Duke, and they had a General Lee. So what he was looking at was the General Lee was driving down the road in front of the Kent farm. And I finally turned around and said, "Oh my God, it was hysterical." I thought it was hysterical. When worlds collide. And then that was the car they rented down the road when Tom Wopat showed up on on Smallville. Whoops. Yeah. So when he showed up, that was the same car. So as far as I know, that's the only General Lee that I drove that was actually a General Lee first and then painted blue so I could drive it. And then they had to put it back as the General Lee. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
You're learning a lot today.
Yeah.
We only
About the General Lee or about being on the board?
Well, both.
I remember the show I directed. I remember that I directed it.
It was funny because when Tom Wopat was on the show, it was the first time. It was fun to see Tom and John sort of, kick. I'd never seen John like that with somebody else because these guys are old school buddies, and stuff. And
right.
I remember kind of walking up to John and asking a question, and I was like, "Hey John," you're like, "1 second," and I was like, "Wow, that's never happened before." And then you kind of finished what you guys were joking about, and then you're like, "Yes, what is it?"
Yeah.
And then you answered it, and then you went back. It was really cute.
I hadn't seen Tom. It's like when I see you. I hadn't seen Tom in years, so it's good to rekindle. We appreciate you doing all this stuff because it gives us an opportunity to catch up and see what's going on in each other's lives.
We appreciate you guys being here, don't we? We are just about out of time, but I gotta ask you, Tom, how did it feel to finally put on the suit in the finale? Was it awesome or just kind of meh?
Meh.
Yeah?
I know nobody wants to hear that, but you were talking about painting up the house.
Yeah.
So that shot was actually my idea because what they wanted me to do is put on the suit and do 4 scenes in the suit.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, no, because that wasn't the show to me. The show was Clark. I was Clark. I wasn't Superman. And what I wanted was for Clark to go out there. Clark was turning into Superman. He was going out in the world, but we couldn't go with him, and it left a lot more to the imagination. And so that shot, by design, was I was running toward the camera, which Amanda Green was coming toward me, and it was going to stop right there. That was the idea. And I was going to open the show at the last second. So in order to save money, what I was wearing was like a crop top with no sleeves. Because they didn't want to build a whole suit. It wasn't cost effective. So I had no sleeves and it barely went down to my waist. It was really only that. Because that's all you were going to see.
Oh wow.
And so maybe it's disappointing to some people. Maybe it's funny.
Well, it's disappointing to me because I handed you the suit and I thought it was the whole suit.
I think you handed me a suit.
I did not hand you a crop top.
Thanks, Dad.
Somewhere between the handoff of John, it turned into a crop.
Yeah.
So,
And they weren't going to do that, by the way. I'm glad that was your notion. That's great. They weren't going to have. He was just going to find a suit in a block of ice.
yeah.
I said, no, that can't be. And again, money. They said, well, we can't afford to bring you in for one shot in this last episode. And I said, well, then don't. I mean, just I'll show up. Well, the rules and SAG. I said, no, I'll do it for whatever the most you have to pay me, or the least. I think it was like $250. And that was, in Canadian money before $33 trillion in debt. But
then $100 in per diem that day.
and that's right. But it was just going to happen. I said, no, this has got to be. I mean, I had no authority to do it, but then they were delighted that I said I would just do it. But that's when I think the most important thing I ever said, as Jonathan Kent, was always hold on to Smallville.
Yep.
And so they wrote that because I was too stubborn to go home. I mean, I was already there. So it was like, and I had this, was so funny with the schedule, it was a 2-parter, and they paid me to be in the first part, but they couldn't afford me to be in the second part, but we were shooting them at the same time. So I said, so you're telling me I can't be in this scene, but I'm gonna be in the scene after this scene? Because, just give me the $200 and shut up. And give me the suit, which I thought was a suit, And I think that's one of the great moments in Smallville was that passing on of not just, you know, here, go out and go forth and be Superman, but, you know, take us with you. Because Jonathan and Martha were very instrumental in forming who this young man became.
On the flip side of that, when Rosenbaum had to play Zod, I've said this story before, but to those of you who haven't heard it, he comes to me a week before, because he used to come to me the episode before, like, you want to run lines for next episode? And I was like, no, I'm trying to figure out...
Working on my golf swing.
Well, I'm trying to just keep my head above water here. And he goes, hey, guess what, next episode? They're going to have to pay me twice. And I go, why? He goes, they got me playing this other character at the same time, Zod or something. He goes, do you know who that is? I'm like, no, I actually don't. And he goes, I go, I don't think they're going to pay you twice. He goes, oh, hell yeah, they are. I'm playing two characters.
If not, the other one's not going to show up.
Yeah. It didn't work that way, just so you know. It's like the opposite of what you did, man.
Yeah, they didn't pay Sorrel Book double for being Abraham Lincoln.
Right.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I know
Are we out of time? That was
we
quick.
are out of time. We would love to sit here and listen to you guys all day, but you have a lot of fans to meet, and we appreciate both of you being here today. You were a major part of our lives, and you embody the type of father-son relationship that I think all of us would love to have. Thank you all.
Thank you. We appreciate it.